In 2016, geologists uncovered a World War I era helmet camera, and on it they found this. This was graphics in 2016. This is graphics now. Notice the difference? Well, this is actually live gameplay of Helldivers. Don't believe me? Let me just alt-tab real quick. There definitely are more games that are at the point of looking realistic, but at the same time, these games are also getting harder to run. And at what cost? In ye olden times, the jump in graphics every time a new generation of console was coming out was obvious and massive. But on the PS4 and Xbox One's release, there were a lot of titles that looked pretty much identical to the last gen counterparts, and people were wondering, where's the upgrade? Now me, I was playing super flat Minecraft on a little potato laptop at 30 FPS, so to me, I thought the PS4 menu was the pinnacle of gaming. But as more and more games came out and next-gen exclusive was becoming a less and less relevant term, you could actually see graphics get better. When Advanced Warfare came out in 2014, I remember thinking, wow, this looks amazing. And then next year's COD came out and after that, you had all these other games that people today still tout as some of the best graphics in gaming. And this was before the PS5 was even announced. Once it did eventually come out, all 3 gamers who got a hold of it experienced a true next-gen game. Because you had to get a scalped console to even run this broken game. It is here that video games have run into a wall. We are past the peak of advancement and now in the era of diminishing returns. Of course, this could very well change in the future. Graphics can improve, and they are, if they don't just get worse for some reason. But the difference is getting harder to notice. Even if the models are higher quality and more advanced lighting and rendering techniques are used, this raises its own problem. How the hell am I even gonna run this? We are reaching a point where companies are using the advancements in technology as a crutch to excuse a shorter window to optimize games, leading to newly released games that look comparable to games that are years old with a tenth of the frame rate. Red Dead 2 was released 6 years ago and it still manages to blow new releases out of the water. And now, the tech is more expensive and the games are more expensive with hardly anything to show for it because you have to get a microscope to see the differences in visual fidelity. And on top of that, the performance continues to suffer. But again, what's the point of ultra graphics? Sure, it'll look like this, but so does every game now. At this point, just go outside. But no. There's no need for such drastic measures. In the jungle of video games, AAA companies are like the crocodile. It hasn't evolved in 400 million years because deer keep walking into its mouth, so it just sits there doing this for 12 hours a day. Then you have the rest of the anime kingdom, each filling their own niche within the ecosystem, carving out their own genre, their own art style, experimenting with what works and what doesn't because they have nothing to lose and everything to gain. When one guy in a 10 square meter apartment wants to make a game, he is extremely limited in what he can do. No budget, no manpower, no marketing, no resources. Just one man in a cave with a box of scraps. This limitation is what gives their projects a focus, a niche, an art style, an identity. Originally, I was just going to talk about a game's art style at this point, but I feel like there's more to appreciating a game than just looking at it. At the end of the day, don't we all play video games, read books, and watch movies just to feel something? Graphics, art style, gameplay, story, every element of a game comes together like gears in a machine to create an emotion the developer wants to evoke in the player. The impact visuals have cannot be judged by graphical fidelity or even art style alone, because just looking at a single frame is enough to make people imagine things that aren't directly within the frame itself. These two games have the same graphical art style. People love Battlefield 1 because this game's identity is based on atmosphere and immersion. This game is dirty and chaotic, and people loved it for that. On the other hand, people hated this, because the message that this game is trying to convey is, I actually want to see the people shooting at me. The substance adds to the style, just as the style adds to the substance to fulfill the vision of the creator. Vision. What you see. When you look at the alien from Alien Isolation, you don't see a bunch of decision trees and a game over trigger. All of that is tucked under the rug. You see a moving, thinking, menacing Bellend on its way to kill you. The game is a play, and your computer is a stage. The challenge for the developers is to use their smoke and mirrors to highlight things that enhance their vision of the game and hide things that ruin it, so that the player can see what they see in their head when envisioning their project. The alien is the entire purpose of Alien, and so all of the work was put into its movement and behavior, because if the alien is underwhelming, then Alien is also underwhelming. Elden Ring does not actually have the best graphics. There are plenty of games that have better textures and lighting, but none of that even matters because what other game has a giant piss tree in it? You can go scrutinize the grass pixels all you want, but like with any game, doing this will only tarnish your experience. Elden Ring's use of set pieces and color make up for the lack of fidelity that other AAA games of this caliber have, and it works! A field will only ever be a field, no matter how beautifully rendered it is. It only serves as the background to whatever is put on the field, and so the object that the player has in their vision must be prioritized. Every project in every medium starts with an idea in a person's head, of a message or feeling they want to convey, and every aspect of that project is tailored to invoking it to the highest degree. So, since we're talking about visuals in this video, wouldn't you say that the best looking games aren't the most realistic or the most detailed ones, but instead the ones that simply capture your imagination? All other forms of media don't strictly adhere to realism, but rather alter, exaggerate, and exclude parts of reality in order to tell their story. So, why should video games have ultra-realistic as the gold standard when it can be so much more?